All right, guys. First, I want to say welcome. We're so glad that you're here. So my name is Brandy Bisick, as Megan said, and so I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I'm the Director of Health Services here at ATU. So I'm going to try, this is my first time sharing my screen on Zoom, so y'all be patient with me just a second. All right. So we're going to be talking about college life during COVID-19. So let's get going. The first thing that I really want to talk to you guys about is kind of the elephant in the room. Everybody is concerned and have questions and just really fear of the unknown about what to expect. And I just mean in everyday life, much less when you're going to college. I know this is an exciting time for you guys, and you've looked forward to it for a long time. And now we have a pandemic going on. So I want you to know that we all feel that way. All of us that work on campus, students, faculty, staff, we all feel what you're feeling. And I just want to assure you that since March, when all this took place, we developed a pandemic task force. And we have been meeting every single week since March, whether it was in person, right as this was happening, and then, of course, over the computer since then, to come up with the best way for us to be able to safely start back to school. And so we have researched tons of the guidelines. We've had meetings with the Department of Health. There has just been so much information consumed, and we've met and talked, and we've got educated, and we just continue still, even now, every week we're meeting to keep up with the health situation and make sure that we're staying on top of what we need to do to keep our campus safe. So we developed through the recovery task force what's called the ATU Pandemic Recovery Plan. And I did put the link in there. You can find that. I'm going to show you a website here in a minute that you'll be able to find where this is located. But this recovery plan, it's kind of lengthy, but I do encourage you all to look at it. And so how the recovery plan is set up is that it's in phases. And currently we are in phase 1. And don't mistake that with what the governor's saying the state's in, because we may not match up directly with what the state
wants. Thank you, Lo. Enjoy your day.
Hey, somebody's not muted. Would you mind?
That sounds so nice.
So we're currently in phase 1, and it does say that on our website. And so the phased approach kind of explains when you're in each phase what that looks like for the ATU campus. And so some of the things that are included in that plan are listed here. Gathering sizes. So for instance, right now we're in the phase 1. So we can have gatherings of up to 30. However, we prefer obviously to not, but if that happens, then, maintaining the 6-foot distance, wearing masks, doing all those things is so important. And then when you go into phase 2, the gathering sizes will go up, the numbers will go up. So on those groups. So also included in the recovery plan is our plan for testing. So testing students on campus in the fall. So I know a lot of students have questions about that. Are we going to be able to be tested for COVID on campus? And the answer is yes. So in the health and wellness clinic, we are going to be able to treat people that have symptoms. We'll probably do some screening testing for people that may not even be sick. So we might come to a res hall, say one day in a week, and just say, hey, we're going to be in this res hall from this time to this time, and whoever wants to get tested can come and be tested. And so it'll be kind of what we call sample testing. You may not be sick, but we still might want to just get that group tested. So part of the recovery plan is to ensure that we have the ability to track these cases. So if there's a positive, or if there's somebody on campus that we need to put into quarantine because they've been exposed to a positive case. And so that's called contact tracing. I'm sure some of you probably heard of that. So we have to have a plan in place to be able to offer that to our university, and that's included in the recovery plan, and we are planning to do that. So also in there, it also explains what we would do if for some reason we had to move back in a phase. Maybe we had to go back to phase 0, and that's where we're all online again. We hope, and we're hoping we're going to be able to just continue on like normal, but we know things are tricky right now. So that plan, depending on the phase you're in, will explain, when we're in person, when we go back to online. So it talks through that as well. And also, one important part that I wanted to mention to you guys is it talks about vulnerable populations. And so some of you may or may not know what that means. It just means maybe a person that would be more at risk for catching the COVID versus somebody who may not. So a vulnerable person might be somebody that has diabetes or they have asthma. Those sorts of people could be considered a vulnerable population. Also, maybe you have a mom at home that has diabetes, and so you have to think about the risk if you're living at home of exposing somebody that's vulnerable in your home. So that's part of our pandemic plan as well. And so the university is doing everything we can to put everything in place ahead of time to just make sure that you're safe, that if you need to have special considerations due to vulnerable situations, that there's a process for that. And that is going through our disability services. And you can reach out to me if you have more questions about that. That's kind of a really quick summary of the recovery plan. Again, it's really long, so I encourage you all to go to the website and review that yourself. So this is the website. This is the ATU main website, and you'll see that yellow bar that's running across the screen there. If you'll click on that Learn More, it will take you to a ton of information on COVID-19. This will be kind of your go-to spot for any information you want to know. Right now we have, what phase we're in on that page. We have currently how many active cases we have in the ATU community is listed there. We have a student screening form, which I'll get to in a minute, that you'll want to do when fall starts back, when the semester starts back. It has information on how to stay healthy. There's information on wearing masks. There's going to be videos. There's just going to be a lot of things on that website that will help you to be able to prepare yourself and to be knowledgeable about what's going on campus. So I encourage you guys to visit this website. It's up and running now, so you can go there now and check it out. One thing I really want to go over with you guys is how to prepare for coming to campus. I know you're wondering what you need to bring. Is there anything different than what you would typically bring? And the answer is yes. We want you to come to campus prepared with 2 masks, cloth masks, and particularly 2 because we want you to be able to wash one and have another one readily available. So bringing 2 masks. If you can bring more, even better. A thermometer, just under the tongue, normal thermometer. They are a little tricky to find, so I'd encourage you to go ahead and start looking for one now, maybe on Amazon, look around in some of the drug stores, maybe Walmart, and see if you can get a thermometer. That's going to be important as we do our student screenings every day for you to be able to have that thermometer handy. And so go ahead and start looking for that now. Hand sanitizer, although we're going to have hand sanitizer all over campus for you, I encourage you to bring some of the little bottles that you can put in your bags, you can put in your pockets, just to have, available to use. If you go through a door and you've touched, a high use area, you're going to want to clean your hands. So, make sure you have some little bottles of hand sanitizer. Cleaning supplies, again, I know these are hard to come by too. I have been in Walmart, and like, oh, there's wipes, but there's a limit of 1. You can get 1 bottle. So be on the lookout for cleaning supplies that you'll be able to use in your room, especially, if you're sharing a room with someone, those high traffic areas, handles, door handles, and things like that, you're going to want to wipe that stuff down. So bring some cleaning supplies that are, easy to use, to your room. Insurance cards. So this is one that's kind of, hopefully you won't have to use, but I want you to have it on you, because if we do COVID testing on you in the clinic, we do take your insurance card. Now, if you don't have insurance, that's okay. If you have a high deductible or a copay, that's okay. We will not charge copays, deductibles, or somebody that doesn't have insurance to get tested. However, we want to bill the insurance, to go through the insurance if you do have it. However, there won't be additional fees. But make sure that you have your insurance card on hand for that. And if you should need to see a physician in town or go to the ER, something like that happens, you need to have either your insurance card or a copy of your insurance card. And last, I want you to really be thinking about a plan. So we all hope that none of us end up, with this virus, but the truth is we could. So I want you to be thinking about a plan. Can you go home if you ended up getting COVID? Who's in your home that you might expose? Like I was mentioning earlier, like your mom that has diabetes or a family member that may be fighting cancer or something like that. You don't want to go home. So I want you to be thinking about a plan of action. How will you get groceries? Who will you call to help, bring those groceries to your doorstep? Those sort of things are the things I want you to think about. Prepare for if you were to get sick, what you would do. Now, I do want to tell you that if you have a meal plan, there's going to be a lot of assistance as far as getting food to you. We have the green and gold cabinet that can bring you food. We're going to be doing health checks on you every day. So I don't want you to be in fear about your plan. I just want you to think ahead and be thinking about those sorts of things.
Hey, Brandy, we have a couple of questions.
Okay, sure.
Montana wants to know if students will be required to test for COVID before they're allowed to move on campus.
Okay, so, and I'm afraid I'm going to give you a lot of I don't knows, and I know we all want answers right now, and I do too. So as of this moment, that's not planned, but we are talking about it. So the answer is for that is I don't know yet. But as we know more, we'll get that information out to you guys. But as of right now, we aren't planning to do that.
All right. I'm not sure if you are going to talk about this later. If you are, then we can go ahead and kind of wait for this question later. But Isabel wants to know if there's going to be an option for students to switch to online classes if they're nervous about coming to campus with all of the cases rising in Arkansas. Can they switch from coming to campus to just going all online?
So Academic Affairs is working really hard to have a lot of hybrid type models where, there's online, in person, different varying ways to do it. Now, certainly if you're a vulnerable population, you would want to reach out to disability services if there's a health concern related to why you want to be online. Now, if, just fear of all the cases, that's not necessarily because you have a health concern now, it's because you're concerned about getting it. So what I would do to encourage you to find that information out would be to reach out to some of those faculty members that are going to be teaching your courses. I'm not fully aware of which courses are doing some hybrid, some not. So the best resource would be to reach out to your particular faculty members and ask them those questions about your classes. What I do know is they realize that there's going to be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of people with fear and valid concern about, the cases and what's going on. So they're understanding and they are asking those same questions themselves. So I encourage you to reach out to them, but unfortunately I don't have one answer for every faculty member.
All right. And then our last question kind of right now, what about, I guess that kind of apply, Montana, correct me if I'm wrong, but her question was, what about out-of-state or foreign students? And I'm guessing, will they be able to switch from online classes to on-campus classes? And then also, will study abroad programs still be offered? Do you know? I don't know if you know the answers to that, Brandy.
Yeah, so as far as international students, our hope is yes, but obviously some international students traveling to get here may be tricky, right? Travel abroad, I know right now that's for the phase that we're in, that's halted for now as we kind of change phases, but we all kind of know right now, I have a feeling we'll be in a holding pattern. So as of right now, we're not doing the travel abroad, but I don't know when that might change. I know right now it's not currently active, and I'm not certain I answered that 100%, so please let me know if I didn't.
Yeah, Montana, if that didn't answer your question, let us know. One of the other things about study abroad programs, while it's called study abroad, we actually participate in the National Student Exchange, which means that you can attend Arkansas Tech and pay Arkansas Tech tuition and fees, but then actually go to school at another institution. in the US. And so we've actually had a student last year that was from Washington State that she just wanted to experience the South. And so she came down and went to Arkansas Tech for a semester and then went back to Washington State. So if you guys are interested in some of those opportunities, you could still contact the study abroad office. And while it's not necessarily going abroad, there is opportunities to be able to travel and go other places. Obviously, there was still some restrictions with that given COVID-19 and the coronavirus and what we're doing right now, but there still is some opportunities to be able to investigate other institutions and other programs while still being able to pay Arkansas Tech tuition, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
That's all the questions that we have right now. And I put the email address for disability services into the chat box, y'all. So if you guys do have any questions about your health and how that's going to affect your classes, if you are a vulnerable population, then go ahead and email disability services and they'll be able to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Okay, so I know most of you have heard a lot about the symptoms, and to be honest with you, it keeps changing. Maybe not changing, they keep adding additional symptoms. So recently they've added the ones at the very bottom: congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. And I know I've had this question from many students as you look at this and you're like, I have a runny nose right now, I have allergies, or I have a cold, and so do I get concerned that I have a runny nose? And so it can be quite tricky. So, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, the student screening that we're going to be doing daily. You're going to be asking yourself if you have these symptoms each day before you go to class. And so the answer to that is, if you have a runny nose related to allergies, you know that you have allergies regularly. You have to take Claritin every year because you get it. Or it's one of these symptoms that's chronic. Somebody that may have a lung disease may have shortness of breath and a cough all the time. So, that wouldn't be as alarming to them as it would be to maybe one of us that is normally pretty healthy. And then all of a sudden we're running a low-grade fever and we have a cough, or we have a low-grade fever and we have a sore throat, or we have nausea and vomiting. And so what we want you to do in those cases, if you have any of these symptoms, and it's more than a day, we really want you to reach out to the Health and Wellness Center. And I'll have my contact information at the end of this PowerPoint, and you can find it on our website. But we want you to reach out to us. And so we're prepared to get calls. We're just getting the phone lines and getting people ready to answer, because we know we're going to get a lot of calls, and that's okay. We want you to reach out to us. We'd rather you call us and ask and be on the safe side. That would be our preference. So we are going to be prepared to do telehealth visits at first to screen people that may be coming in for clinic visits. And then we'll decide, do you need to come in for a COVID test? Do you need to come in for a strep test? And so there'll be a process for that. But we want you to reach out to us so we can decide, okay, maybe this is allergies, or maybe we're a little more concerned and we may need to do a COVID test on this person. So the answer to this is, if you have a symptom that's new, that you don't normally battle, that's on this list, we want you to give us a call and let us help you decide whether you need to come in or not. Now, if it's weekends or evenings, reach out to your primary care provider. We have urgent care clinics in town if it's something that can't wait until Monday when we open. Or if it's an emergency, I don't want you to wait until Monday. I want you to reach out and get assistance. So I know a lot of this is probably redundant. Y'all have been hearing about the prevention methods that are all over TV and social media, but I feel like we just can't say it enough. And so these are a list of the things that we want you to do to prevent getting coronavirus. So washing your hands, avoiding close contact, particularly staying, within greater than 6 feet away from people, wearing a mask and covering your coughs and sneezes, and then staying home when you're sick is very important. We don't want people that have this illness going out and going to their friend's house or going to the food courts or doing any of that stuff and spreading the virus. So if you're sick, please stay home and just reach out to the Health and Wellness Center and let us help decide where we need to go. We just don't want people that are sick out going to class and things like that. And then cleaning and disinfecting. We want you to make sure that you're cleaning your area. And this is going to include your classrooms too. Making sure that we're going to be providing wipes and things in your classrooms. Make sure that you're using the hand sanitizer, you're using the wipes. in your classrooms to wipe your desk and things like that. We want to do all we can to keep surfaces and especially ones that are used a lot, clean. So these are some of the prevention methods, and you'll be seeing a lot of these all over campus. We're going to have lots of signage, social media posts. We're going to be doing videos to teach you about this stuff. You're really just going to see it everywhere. So this is that daily student screening that I've been referencing throughout this talk so far. And so this is what it looks like for the most part. And so the main question there is, are you experiencing any of the following symptoms that are not associated with a chronic health disease? And a lot of people are like, well, what's chronic? Well, chronic was what I was just saying, something that you've been diagnosed with or something that you've battled a long time. Diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure, things like that would be a chronic. So if you have chronic allergies, you deal with it every year, then you wouldn't pick that, you wouldn't say, oh goodness, I may have the COVID, kind of thing. So you go down this list, you're going to ask yourself these questions. In addition to that, you're going to check your temperature before you leave your res hall or your home if you're living off campus, and you're going to check your temperature. Temperature is deemed, or fever is deemed 100.4 or greater. So we want you to check for that. And so that's one of the questions on here. Do you have fever of 100.4 or greater? So if you answer yes to any of these questions on this screening, then you are going to call us and you're not going to come to campus until you talk to us. And so the other question is, have you been exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID? So if your roommate tests positive for COVID, then you want to stay there and give us a call and let us direct you on what to do. And you would not go to class or leave, your home or your living space. And then the last one, of course, have you tested positive for COVID? We're going to be doing testing on campus, but maybe you go get tested in an urgent care on the weekend. Well, if you test positive, then the Health and Wellness Center needs to know that, because for several reasons: infection control, virus control. But in addition to that, we're going to be doing contact tracing to try to figure out who might have been exposed. But another reason is so we can provide you services. If you're going to be in your room, in quarantine, and you're going to be in there and you can't leave, we want to make sure that you have food, you have groceries, that we're checking on you and making sure you're okay, and that your needs are met. Can we help you get a hold of your faculty members to let them know what's going on? So we want to know about it for multiple reasons. So we encourage you to call the Health and Wellness Center if you have a yes to any of these questions. This screening is on that COVID-19 webpage. In addition, this is going to be everywhere. You're going to see these posted. The question I get too is this going to be submitted to anyone? This is not submitted to anyone. You're just going to do this on your own from home or from the res hall every day before you come in. Check your temp. Ask yourself if you have these symptoms. If everything's a no, then you're clear to go. If something's yes, you're going to need to call the Health and Wellness Center.
Brandy, we have a couple of questions.
Okay, sure.
Davion wants to know, when the Health and Wellness Center is going to come into the residence hall and do screenings, how are the students going to be notified about that?
Yes. So, and remember I said it would be like a sample. It would just kind of be a random, and we don't have those dates set up yet, but those would be announced. So we probably would post them on social media. We would post them probably in your res hall. We would let your RA, RDs know. So we would reach out multiple ways, social media, and then just letting people around you know. So that's how you would hear about it. And so watch for that. And we'll try to get signage and stuff out ahead of time. So, it won't just be that day you'll hear about it, that you'll have a couple days notice, but we don't have any official dates set up to do that yet.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Austin said that he has been having the top two symptoms for a long time, cough and nasal congestion, but has been given allergy medicine by his doctor. So that's basically what he wouldn't have to report that or anything, because that would be considered chronic, correct?
Yes. And he's already been seen by somebody for it. So that helps too. And again, if that's one of those that you're like, I'm not sure, this kind of feels like a weird situation, just give us a call. Austin, right now too, even though we are not, if you're registered for fall, we are seeing patients in the Health and Wellness, not in this Health and Wellness Center, but through the Health and Wellness Center. We're doing telehealth visits. So you just call our number and we can schedule an appointment. So if you have a question like that, we can see you if you haven't already seen your primary care, or if you have a question about something like that, feel free to call us. But in that circumstance, if you called me, I would say you're good because you already have been seen by your primary care provider and they've already diagnosed you and decided they didn't think it was COVID. So we would think, okay, he's good. So you would say no essentially to that.
Awesome. All right. So Hunter wants to know if they have symptoms, they will be quarantined in their own room.
Yes. So, okay. So if you have symptoms, and the first thing you would do, obviously, is we wouldn't want you to leave your room until you talk to us. And so we would call you, go through kind of what's going on with you, have you come over. So if you have symptoms and we decide, oh, these are concerning for COVID, I would say stay in your room, till your time to come see us. Put a mask on when you come see us. Don't leave, to go anywhere till you see us. And then if we decide we test you and we are suspicious that you have COVID, you would be quarantined to your room. Yes. Now, once we got the test result back, if it was positive, then we would say, okay, are you able to go home? And that is our preference due to just having availability of rooms. But if you're maybe an international student, or maybe you live 6 hours away and that's not feasible for you, then we would work through that process. So the answer is preferably if you are formally quarantined, like we decide you're positive and you need to stay in, or you've been around somebody that's positive and we for sure want you to stay in your room, you'll be notified of that. But if you're having symptoms that are concerning, we want you to stay in your room until you talk to us, just so we can kind of guide you. I hope that answered that.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So there was a couple other questions that was kind of along that same line.
Sure.
So if my roommate answers positive to these questions and it gets a COVID-19 test, but we don't know if they're positive or not yet, or if they get positive, what do I do?
Yes. So yeah, these are great questions. So your person that was positive in that instance, if now that person may go home, right? So if that person that's positive goes home, then you would stay in, your own room that you were in, and we would have somebody come and clean. If the person's positive and they can't leave, we would move you out of the room into a different room. You're now going to be in quarantine for 14 days. So we would move you out into a room. So one way or the other, you're not going to be in the room with that person that's positive. And in the quarantine or the positive. So if you're positive, you have to be in isolation for 10 days. If you're in quarantine, which means you've been exposed to somebody that has it, you're in quarantine for 14 days. So see, it's a little bit different, but either way, those people are going to be separated one way or the other, whether that's them going home or whether that's being in a room by themselves or being moved to a different room by themselves. Either way, you would be separated. Yes. If you're designated to be in isolation or quarantine, you would be separated.
And then this leads to Sierra's question of how does this affect our classes? That if the classes aren't online and I'm quarantined or I'm in isolation, how does that work?
Yes. So part of the process, as we've talked through some of it, is you notify us, and then we go through the process, of testing you and doing all that. You would want to reach out to your faculty member and let them know what's going on, and let them know that, you're not going to be able to come to class. And the faculty members are all aware of, what's going on right now, and they are all prepared and revving up to be able to do what they need to do to help you if you're at home. Maybe they don't have an online feature, but they're going to be prepared to help you in any way they can. My understanding is that most of them are offering a way, for that to happen. But they're going to do everything they can do to help you get your work. They're going to be very sensitive that this is going to happen. As we all know, this is going to happen to some people. And so they're preparing right now. I don't want to speak for academic affairs or your faculty members, but they're doing a lot of work right now to make this as smooth and to keep you guys as safe as possible. And so they're preparing for that situation. So you're not going to be penalized. That's a big one. You're not going to be penalized. You just do have to make sure you're communicating with us and with your faculty members.
All right, 2 more questions, and then I think, for now at least, Cassidy wants to know, just to make sure, students will be required to wear masks in class.
So per the recovery plan that y'all can go in and look at, the regulation right now is that masks are required unless you can ensure that you're staying 6 foot away from someone. So if you're in a hallway, you have to have a mask. If you're in a classroom and maybe you're in a lab that can't be spread 6 feet away, you for sure have to have a mask. And let me just say, I'm putting my nurse hat on here. If you want to be as safe as you can on campus, wear your mask, wash your hands, do all the things, but the mask is going to be vital. The more people that are having their masks on, the less risk that we're going to have on campus of an outbreak of the virus. So the rule per the pandemic recovery plan is that masks are required if you cannot maintain 6 foot distance, but my medical recommendation is wear your mask all the time.
And our last question, let's see, Amanda wants to know, given that we are in phase 1, does that mean all classes will have 30 students or less?
So yeah, well, ideally, yes. The way this classroom is set up is that we wanted everybody 6 feet apart, and every classroom's a little bit different. And they're working with, the academic affairs department is working with our FAMA department to figure out where to put the desks and how to get that spread out and to do all those sorts of things. So ideally, yes, all of them will be 30 or less. Now, there may be some exceptions. Again, I don't want to speak for academic affairs, but the plan is for them to be able to maintain the 6 foot distance in between students.
All right. A couple of people had some questions about when they're leaving for Thanksgiving, and do they take all of their stuff with them at their residence hall, or can they leave it in there? So Brandy, I'm actually reaching out right now to Residence Life to see if we can get an answer for that. So I'm not ignoring you guys. We're going to let Brandy finish a couple other slides while I get that answer.
Yes, thank you. And I wanted to say one more thing about this slide about the thermometer. We realize that some people may not have a thermometer. I really want you all to get a thermometer and bring it, but if for some reason you can't find one or you don't have one, we're going to have thermometer stations set up around campus, and those will be listed. You'll find those on the website and they'll be posted. But if for some reason you don't have a thermometer, we're going to have them. There's going to be one at public safety, there's going to be one in health and wellness, and there's going to be several other sites that you'll be able to go to get that temperature check if you don't have one to do, available to you in your res hall or at home. Okay, so we've talked about some of this, I think, but the question is, what if I was exposed to somebody with a COVID-19 test? And so I'm going to give you probably more information than you really want to know, and you don't have to remember this, there's not a test. But the rule of thumb with contact tracing and how we're going to do it and how the Department of Health does it is, if there's somebody, say that I'm positive for COVID-19, how I'm going to, maybe the Department of Health is going to reach out to me and say, who have you been around during the time that you were infectious? So you are infectious with COVID, which means you could pass it on 2 days before your symptoms start, which is the tricky part of this, right? You could not even be sick, and you could be passing it on to other people and not even know you have it. So that's why the masks are important. But so the Department of Health would ask me, or the Health and Wellness Center would ask me, Brandy, so your symptoms developed on Monday. So who were you around on Saturday and Sunday? And I would have to think about it. Oh gosh, who was I around? Then the next question would be, were you within 6 feet of that person for more than 15 minutes? No, I don't think we stayed a distance. So then I would be like, okay, well, good. Well, those people don't have to go into quarantine. But if you say, yes, they were in my car and we drove to Conway to get something to eat. Well, guess what? That person now has to go into quarantine because they were within 6 feet of you for more than 15 minutes while you were infectious and contagious. So that's how we come up with who's going into quarantine and who's in isolate, all that. That's how we come up with that, just so you'll know. But if you're around somebody that's positive with COVID-19, again, the first thing we want you to do, give us a call. You're going to ask that student screening form I just went through with you. And one of the questions is, have I been exposed to somebody? And you're answering yes. So therefore that means stay in your room or at home and give us a call. Call the Health and Wellness Center and say, hey, I've been here and so has been tested and is positive. And we're going to walk you through that. The good news is that we are prepared. We've done the contact tracing certifications. We're all ready to take this on and to be able to give you the education and to help you guys out. So the next one is, I think we've kind of talked about it. What if I have symptoms that are concerning? And that's the same thing. Give us a call. Don't go to class if you're sick. Okay. I'd rather you call me for things that aren't needed than not call me and should have called me. So give us a call in the clinic if you have symptoms that are concerning. We have I don't know if y'all are aware, but the Health and Wellness Center, we see students for free. You pay it in your tuition as part of the student health clinic fee. And so you can come see us. You do have to make an appointment. You do that by calling our clinic. We normally would let you schedule those online, but due to COVID right now, we're having to do a little bit more screening. And so there's going to be tents outside that you have to come through to get like temperature checks and screening. And you have to come into the clinic wearing a mask. If not, we're going to give you one. So there's a little bit more process to come in to see us. But I do want y'all to know that the Health and Wellness Center is open and available, will be as of August the 3rd, to take care of you guys in person. Now we're doing telehealth again right now. So the service is available to you guys. We see people for all kinds of things. I'll go through some of them just so you'll know. Strep throat. We do pregnancy tests. We offer birth control pills. We do, we do suturing. If you need an IV, if you have the flu, all those sorts of things are things that we see people in clinic for. Now, we don't see people for chronic illnesses. So chronic illness, again, would be like diabetes or high blood pressure. We don't take care of those sorts of things. You need a primary care for that. We can help you find somebody if you need that help. But so all that to say, if you're sick, the Health and Wellness Center services are for you. You pay for those services. So please take advantage.
All right. So I did reach out to Residence Life, and just to let you guys know that if you are living on campus, then classes on campus are going to be ending when you guys leave for the Thanksgiving break. So you do not have to move out everything from your residence hall, but you will want to take everything that you need because you're not going to be able to get back in. So if you get home and in December and you're like, oh my gosh, my favorite sweater, I left it in my residence hall, you're out of luck because you can't come back in and get your favorite sweater. So when you guys are going home for Thanksgiving, you want to take everything that you're going to need for the next month and a half. But you don't have to bring every single thing. So all of your shower stuff and all of the stuff that you're not going to need at home because you're not going to need to walk down the hall to go take a shower, or all of your summer clothes or anything like that you're bringing. You're good. You can leave stuff in your room. But anything that you're going to need, all of your medications or all of your clothing, your computers or electronics, all of that stuff that you might want to take home just so that way you have it and you can use it, then you'll be able to definitely get all of that. Brandy, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but how are they planning on preventing the spread in the cafeteria?
Yes, and I knew that might be a question that would be asked. And so I know that I was just told that there's going to be some information put out about housing, about move-in, and about the cafeteria and getting food. So be watching for that. There's going to be something pushed out about that. I know that Chartwell's, which is who manages our food, they have been on top of measures for prevention and to keep our students safe, because of this going on. We've had some students on campus over the summer, not many, but and so they've had to already be doing some of these measures for safety for COVID. And so I can't speak for them, and again, be watching for that to come out, but I can tell you that they're on top of it. They are being very careful. They are taking all kinds of protocols very seriously to keep you guys safe. So watch for more to come on that.
And then one more question before we move on to this mental health slide. Montana wants to know what happens if we leave for Thanksgiving and the school decides not to open back up on campus for the spring semester and we're online. I mean, that is definitely a possibility. And unfortunately, right now, as we are making all of the policies and procedures and regulations, that we have to consider everything.
Mhm.
Even if we are online, the residence halls will still be open because there are students that either don't have another place to go, or they need the residence hall because they need internet, or they need the ability to be living on campus because they don't have a safe environment at home. And so there's a variety of different reasons why the residence halls will still be open in the spring semester if we are even online, if we're online or we're on campus. So a variety of different things there. If you feel more comfortable taking all of your stuff home at Thanksgiving and just completely cleaning your room out, you can do that. But if we open and when we open back up in the spring, you're going to have to move it all back in. So it just kind of depends on how do you want to do that. If for some reason we are online and you decide in the spring and you decide that you are not going to be moving back on campus, there will be a way for you to pick up the rest of your stuff. We're not going to hold your stuff hostage. You'll be able to come get the rest of your stuff at some point. So unfortunately, like Brandy said, there's going to be a lot of questions that are like, I don't know the answers right now because we're still working through some of this. And a lot of it is, if this happens, what are we going to do? We have a plan, but unfortunately we can't really say what that plan is because we don't really know what the various situations are.
Right. And I'm trying to make a decision about my kiddo for school, and I'm kind of getting the same thing and it's frustrating because I do want to know everything now, but unfortunately there's a lot, none of us have lived through a pandemic. So it's really tricky to just kind of navigate all this, but I can assure you that as we get more info, we'll pass that on to you guys. So this slide is about mental health. I just want to talk about this because it's a serious topic, especially right now. I mean, we're going through a pandemic. We're all stuck at home. We can't socialize with our friends. We can't give people hugs. We can't do all the normal things in life that we were able to do before March. And so people that had previous depression or anxiety, or even people that don't, those sort of symptoms, we're all dealing with some of this. So I want you to know the resources that we have available for you guys. And so the counseling center is in with the health center. So we're together. And so you have paid for these services. And so I want to tell you a little bit about those. So currently we're doing tele mental health. So if you want a counseling appointment, you can call the clinic and a counselor will either meet with you over the phone or they'll do something similar to what we're doing today, like a Zoom appointment. It's confidential. We have crisis appointments where we will have somebody on campus in the fall that will see people in person for crisis. And crisis would mean like, this is an emergency. I need to urgently see somebody now. So we're going to have somebody on campus to see you for that if that's needed in the fall. And then we have a great website, and I did put the link there, and you can just go to the Health and Wellness website and you'll find it there as well. But there are some great resources. There are some screening tests for depression and anxiety. There are videos about self-care. I mean, I can't even tell you, there's lots of great information on that health resource page for you that you can go and look at. Let me see what else I wanted to tell you about. So in the fall, the counselors are going to be doing their counseling online versus in person, except in case of a crisis, like I mentioned. And let's see what else. Now I wanted to let you know about counseling. It's more of short term. So if you're needing counseling for more of a long-term trauma or something like that, we would probably want to help you and get you connected with a counselor in the community that could help you more long-term. In the clinic, the counseling is more short-term. And so if you need long-term counseling or short-term, either way, we can help get you connected or offer that service for you. And I think that was it for that.
All right.
And now it's time for questions.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Michaela and Montana kind of had questions on those similar lines, so I'm going to ask them at the same time. Michaela wants to know if there's still going to be allowed to go home on the weekends, and Montana wants to know about visitors on campus, or if like parents or friends want to come visit.
Yes. So you mean just going home like normal for a weekend visit to see your parents? Yeah, that's fine. There's not going to be any limitations for you to be able to to do that. You're now obviously want you to be careful. And if you go home and you're around somebody positive, then we want you to stay home and call us, right? We don't want you to expose anybody if you've been around somebody that's positive or if you're sick. But you're able to do your normal things as far as going home for the weekends. Now, as far as visitors goes, I don't want to speak for Delton. I think that I read something that came through the task force that there's going to be very limited ability to have visitors in the res halls. I may have read that you can have one, but I don't want to misspeak. But I know it's going to be very limited, if any. I can say that. And so just for the sake of, if you have mom that's coming from Texas or something and coming into the campus and maybe she doesn't have symptoms, but has COVID, then, we're trying to prevent the spread in the res halls and on campus. So we're just doing that as an extra precaution. So it will be very limited, if any.
All right, Davion wants to know, will the COVID screening be oral or nasal?
It's nasal. Well, the one we're currently doing now. So I'm doing some research on so what I'm trying to do is get our results back as quick as possible. And I'm sure you're hearing across the country, our normal lab Quest, who we've always used, as they're getting more and more and more tests that are coming in, the lag time for results is getting longer. So currently what I'm doing and what we've been doing is nasal, the fun nasal swab. But I am researching some other labs and some ways that could get us results faster. And so I'm actually have a meeting with them coming up. So I haven't asked them whether it's nasal. So currently it's nasal. I'd love to be able to do the oral because I think they're a little bit less invasive. But for now, the ones we're doing are nasal.
All right. Amanda wants to know, how will PE type classes work, and are masks going to be required for those type of classes?
Well, I know that not all the academic affairs classes and general classes look the same. And I'll give you an example. So right now there's some labs going on campus, and in some of the labs we can't keep a 6-foot distance. And so, so a lot of those lab classes they're having to wear masks for that reason. So as far as the PE courses go, and as far as the physical activity of them, and I'm assuming you're meaning like if you're doing a running class or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know fully this answer. I don't think that if you're running or doing something like that you're going to have a mask on, but you got to maintain that 6-foot distance. So get with your PE teacher. If you're taking a PE class, get with your teacher, go ahead and email them and ask them what their expectation will be. But I think as long as we're able to maintain that 6-foot distance, ideally, especially when you're working out, it's really hard to do that with a mask on. So.
All right. So Allison said, I saw that the governor stated that school was not starting until August 26th. And is this affecting tech, or is this just for public schools? Allison, that is just for public schools for K through 12. Our first day of classes is still going to be August 19th. And that means that the on-campus orientation for incoming freshmen starts on August 15th, which is that Saturday. And it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it is a 4-day on-campus orientation, and all incoming freshmen are expected to be there for those 4 days. So make sure that if you have a job or something, ask for that time off. And then incoming transfer students, if any of you guys are transfer students, your orientation will be August 18th. So you'll be coming for that one full day before classes start on the 18th, and then all classes will start on the 19th. And then there was a couple of questions just about what is campus going to be like, that while I know everybody is worried about, hey, am I going to get sick, but also what is the social aspect going to be? Is it just going to be going to class, get food, go back to your dorm and don't talk to anybody? Or is there going to be activities? Right. Is there going to be fun stuff? What is this college experience going to be like?
Right. And I think, again, I feel like I keep saying the same thing. We don't know. Right now, we're trying to minimize groups getting together, especially those that can't maintain that 6-foot distance. And so I think those are some of the conversations we're having right now as far as that goes. I mean, everybody's wanting to, have sports and have all these things, but, the numbers are up right now. And so, and we still have a little bit of time before August the 19th. So, when you're making decisions for what things will be like in the future, it can be a little bit tricky. And our priority right now is just to keep everybody safe. So the answer to that is, I don't know. I'm not certain yet what all those groups will do and how we'll do that at this moment. But
What-
as soon as we know, we can, and you may know a little bit more than me, Megan, as far as the
I was
groups
gonna
and
say,
that.
one of the things that we're doing right now, I am also planning orientation. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is be able to connect you guys in smaller groups. And so like Brandy said, we're trying to meet in groups less than 30, but we're planning things where you guys will be able to you guys will be able to get in groups of like 10 to 15 and really be able to talk and engage and still be on campus, but be definitely in smaller groups. But part of the reason that we're having these tech talks is to give you guys the opportunity to see what it's going to be like to be engaging during on social media and or through virtual means. That's part of the reason why we keep asking you guys to turn on your cameras so we can see you, so we can engage with you. That yes, during this, Brandy and I are doing a lot of talking at you. However, when you guys are in classes or when we are doing virtual programming, like we're doing virtual programming where it's bingo, or whether it's like there are a lot of different opportunities for you guys to come and do a dance party online. And I realize that sounds really weird, but I did a sample of it and it was so cool. That it was all sorts of different types of music and people were together and you were up and you were moving, and there's online karaoke and there's online movie parties. And yes, online still seems kind of weird. But it's about how much you choose to engage. That if we send out a link that says, hey, we're doing online karaoke on Thursday night from 6 to 8, like, don't just look at it and be like, oh my gosh, that's so lame. Why would I do that? This is the opportunity for you guys to socialize with each other and engage with each other. And yes, there could be 15, 20, 300 people in this, but we're also going to break it down where you guys are in small groups and you're actually able to interact with just 5 or 6 people in a smaller group online. And then we'll bring you back together and then you can see everybody. And then you'll get put in another small group to interact with another 5 to 6 people. And then you'll be brought back to the main room. So a lot of really awesome opportunities to engage, but even though, because everything is virtual, you guys are going to have to choose to go ahead and sign up for it. You guys are going to have to choose to engage with it. And sometimes it's just the decision of, I'm going to turn on my camera. And I realize that can be kind of nerve-wracking for some people, but I'm going to turn on my camera, or I'm going to unmute myself and I'm going to ask a question. That this is something that you guys are going to have to get in the practice of doing. That yes, it's awesome that you guys are putting questions into the chat box and I want you guys to ask questions, but at some point you have to get that courage and you have to be brave and you have to unmute yourself and you have to start engaging with each other verbally. You have to start engaging with the presenters and with your instructors and all of that. So the more that you guys do that and the more that you guys will be able to be kind of engaged with the process, the more fun it's going to be and the more it's not necessarily going to feel like you are completely socially isolated.
Well, and I want to say that we all want things to go back to as normal as possible, but we all know right now it's really tricky. And so as we what we're doing in a lot of things is weighing, right, the risk versus the benefit when we're making decisions about, starting things up, groups up, doing certain things. And so those will be the questions we'll be asking, because although we want to do all these things, our priority is always to keep you guys safe. And so, hopefully we'll be able to start to do some of the smaller groups, like Megan said, as long as, we're maintaining the distance and keeping it under the number based off the phase we're in. So that's our hope. And I'm sure there'll be more to come that we'll be able to share with you soon.
Mm-hmm. A couple of non-COVID questions, but still related. Sierra wants to know if you've never been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, could that be something that you could be tested for on campus?
So testing, now there's a screening tool on the counseling website that I was just talking about that has a screening tool for depression and anxiety. Now, the nurse practitioners and the counselors see people that have never been diagnosed with depression or anxiety in the past, and people who have. So often I'll say, for instance, when I was in the clinic, we would see patients that would come in for depression and anxiety. And part of my job as a nurse practitioner would be to sit in the room with them and to go through a actual screening form for depression and anxiety, go through that form with them, decide if they do indeed have, a diagnosed depression or anxiety. And then oftentimes I would set them up with one of the counselors, because I think the best thing for most people with depression and anxiety is to be in, counseling, whether they need medication or not, but counseling is certainly one that we always want you to do. So yes, we can see you, diagnose you, treat you with medicine and counseling in the clinic.
All right. So a couple of questions about orientation and when are we going to get more information about that? I am actually in the process of drafting the email right now. So you guys should have received an email to your ATU email address about the online pre-orientation. I'm assuming that's partly why you guys are here for these tech talks, but we're going to have much more information sent to you throughout the end of July and the beginning of August about on-campus orientation, where you need to go, what you need to do, all sorts of stuff like that. So definitely be checking your ATU email address. There was more questions about what will move-in day look like. You're going to be receiving more emails about move-in and what that's going to look like, what the first day of classes are going to look like, all of that stuff. It should be coming this week or at the beginning of next week. I know that the university is in the process of putting out a press release to give you guys all of the information that you need to know about that. I don't want to answer those questions because I don't have all of the full information. So I'm sorry I can't answer that, but they will be getting you those answers later this week or the beginning of next week. A non-COVID related question, Brandy, I don't know the answer to this one. Allison wants to know if she's allowed to have pepper spray on her keychain, or is that considered a non-lethal weapon and not allowed?
I think that pepper spray is okay, but before I say that out of turn, I'd like for you to reach out to public safety and just, call the phone number to public safety and ask to confirm that.
I want to say yes as well. I'm pretty sure pepper spray is allowed, but definitely if you just go to the main ATU website and put in public safety, it'll come up, or you can search it in the A to Z index and the phone number will come up, and then you'll be able to just call them and ask them, and they get asked that question all the time.
I tried to look in the handbook, but I couldn't find anything over it. I swear I read the whole thing. I couldn't find anything.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allison, more than likely, I want to say it's allowed, but yeah, just give public safety a call, and whoever answers will be able to either answer you or they'll transfer you over to one of the officers, and they'll be able to know.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then Savannah had a question that said, when you say visitors in the residence hall may be limited, do you mean guests from off campus or other campus students, or both? I want to say it's both, that more than likely if like you and your roommate are the people that are supposed to be in your residence hall, and if it's not you or your roommate, then that means that nobody else can be there. And that is purely for your safety as well as the safety of the people that are around you, because nobody knows at this point who could have COVID and who's not. And so if you want to hang out, if you live in M Street and you want to hang out with somebody that lives in Nut, it's going to be best to go outside and hang out in the picnic tables in front of, and maybe in front of Vaztech, or hanging out, in the grassy areas outside. Once it starts getting colder, then definitely there's going to be some more indoor areas that will have couches where you guys can sit on the each side of couch. And so you're still 6 feet apart and you're still being able to engage with each other, but you're just not necessarily engaged specifically in your room. I don't know the answer specifically for like overnight guests or anything like that. So somebody that doesn't live, that is not on campus, that doesn't live on campus, that's maybe coming to visit you for the weekend. I don't know the answer to that, but I am almost positive that when the Residence Life Office sends out information about move-in day and what their COVID policies are for the fall, that answer will be in that, will be in that email. And if it's not, then you could always email the Residence Life Office, housing@atu.edu is their email address. I would wait to get that email, and if that answer doesn't answer your question, then you could always email them and they'd be able to do that. So awesome. Well, it looks like we are almost out of time. So I just want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any final questions that you may have. I love how much you guys were engaged. This
too.
You guys asked really good questions, and I hope you feel more comfortable about the current situation and what's going on, and our ability and your ability to keep you safe, keep you safe, as well as you guys keeping yourself safe.
Right.
I have put in the chat box the link for the attendance form. So for those of you that have attended a Tech Talk before, you know that you have to fill out the attendance form in order to get credit for this. As far as the pre-orientation goes, the online pre-orientation, you have to attend 3 Tech Talks, but we want you to attend as many as you are interested in. So if you've attended more than 3, that's awesome. We do have a bunch more Tech Talks that are happening this week and next week, so feel free to check those out. But we are excited for you guys to get here in August. I've been planning for months for you guys to be here, so I can't wait for you guys to get here. And I know Brandy has been working really hard to make this environment as safe as we possibly can. So thank you guys so much for coming. And if you have any questions, please feel free to stay on and you can put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and we'd be more than happy to answer those. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you at the next Tech Talk.